Elon Musk's Tesla Inc. is sparking concerns around job security.
This is not financial advice, silly.
Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Turned up to work and went to start my day. Was barely late, like 9:08. So took my coffee break. Then I got hungry, so I just stopped by the free buffet. But then to my dismay, I heard somebody say, attention humans, you have lost, you have not met your quota. Pack your belongings in a box, now it's over. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. But I'm in management. I work hard every day. I need these benefits, health and 401k. How could they do this shit though? Where will I trade my crypto? I had a second monitor for Twitter. Where will it go? Somebody please stop the bus. I mean, not the fuss, but there's lots of us. And now you say you won't pay me to play ping pong because Optimus. I mean, who employs a damn humanoid? Some new droid for you to exploit, deploy to destroy your human droid. No lunch breaks, great, get a few deployed. Your time is up, human inferior to me. I'll take it from here, get relieved of your duty. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. It's okay, human, please don't cry. You can always go and become a Twitter thread guy. Make pretty pictures with Midjourney on your new PC. Or make some YouTube videos about ChatGPT. Sucker. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. Robot just stole my job. I'm there like, oh my god. I blame it on Elon. He's taking all I got. I mean, I didn't even write this song. I just used ChatGPT because it's way easier. Holy shit. We are so doomed. Robot just stole my job. Robot.
All right, one of my favorite songs from Crypto Bubble. Hopefully everybody's doing well today. Again, it is Tesla earnings day. That is why we brought up that music video today. There's a lot of other stuff going on. Obviously, Bitcoin after I did my celebration, which is funny actually because XMB trader, this one guy that has been around for a while actually, like well over a year and a half, 2 years, kind of since I started, I think. And he was like, "Don't say anything else today." And then I totally mocked him, and I'm like, "Dude, whatever. I'm not superstitious. Fuck that shit." And then the market dropped a lot. So maybe I'll listen to him next time. I don't know. I'm not too worried about it. We'll talk about some of the reasons why in a little bit here. If you guys do get time, if possible, if you can hit the like and comment down below in this video on YouTube, that is great. And it really helps out the channel, and I appreciate it. We got a lot to talk about. First, let's get a lay of the land. We do have Tom Lee for the first time in a while talking on FS Insight. There's actually 3 great videos. We got one from Mark Newton too. We got just a lot of them. So we might watch a bunch of those just for the fuck of it, so you guys can get caught up. But if we look here at the CNN Fear and Greed Index, real quickly, we got a 29, so we're a little bit out of extreme fear. But again, still very much in launch mode. We have the alternative for crypto, which is at extreme fear, 25. And we've got the coin market cap sitting still, it hasn't even moved. I don't know. Both of these indexes at different times confuse me between the alternative one and coin market cap. Because it feels to me like yesterday was enough of a dunk where people are like, what the fuck? I guess it did go lower, though. If we look over here, it did actually, well, you can't really tell. Like 27, so it was right on the edge of extreme fear. We haven't really seen extreme fear. The last time it registers extreme fear on coin market caps, and maybe that's more relevant, it probably is during the start of the tariff war in April. Beyond Meat breaking the market, I can't look at Beyond Meat. I'm sorry. Yeah, back when I was woke, I tried to eat Beyond Meat. I think they even had it at Burger King. Is that true? It was just fucking disgusting. It felt like you were eating stuff they scraped off the floor of a burger joint. And I used to work at a few when I was a kid. I worked at Hardee's and McDonald's and Wendy's. I did them all, right? We were fucking broke-ass people. So that's the only job I thought I could really be good at it. Full of seed oils. Yeah, dude, it just tore me up, and I've already got stomach problems, which have been getting better, actually. I've been losing weight. Probably too much weight. I need to work out more. buff up here. Roll up these sleeves, pretend like my arms are still big. Ultra processed garbage. Yes, that is 100% true, dude. It is trash. So anyway, on the fear side of things, we're good. We're good. And let's look real quickly. I won't sign into this because it's just such a pain in the ass. 2.27% as of October 22nd. Again, no inflation. We love that. Extra virgin olive oil is the best. You are 100% right. It is really good. What do we have for government-related data today? Well, I mean, nothing, right? Shut down. What is exciting, though, is we actually have CPI-related data tomorrow. And I guess the reasoning behind that is because they need to be able to pay people. And part of this process decides on them being able to pay people. And I can't remember if it's for Social Security or a bunch of different benefit programs. But we are going to get that. And so that data point, I want to say it comes out Friday, but let me just check real quick here. It says Kansas Fed. I don't think we're getting any of that. But for Thursday. But I do believe, and then look, all this is just blanked out. So that's definitely not happening. Maybe we will get Kansas Fed because it actually has a time on it tomorrow. Interesting. But really, it's going to be Friday. Friday is when we get CPI-related data. So we're at least getting this stuff. Maybe we'll even get, Michigan consumer sentiment and some of these others. I guess those are regional. Should we still get regional data? I haven't really been paying attention. Maybe we do. Maybe we get regional. Matanga says, I lost so much money in Tattooed Chef. Oh, Jeremy. Hey, all you got to do is say Tattooed Chef, and people are like, fucking Jeremy. Art Knight, good morning and happy Tesla earnings day to all that celebrate. Yes, sir. What else we got in here? All right, that's about it for comments. So anyway, looking good on that front. Let's check the energy front, see how we're doing year to date. I mean, still pretty much down, which is good. Let's look at how, you know what we should do? I did some posts. Let's jump over to those real quick. And then I want to go to Fundstrat because I think Fundstrat is what we're going to focus on a lot today. I did not post, or I did not bookmark everything, so we're just going to kind of go down the list and we'll have to skip all my political shit. So I said, this is kind of funny. So this gap just got filled. I don't know why it shows me here. I actually retweeted somebody else. It's weird that it doesn't show that. Anyway, the gap got filled on Bitcoin for the CME. If you guys don't know what that is, it's the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. I don't really pay much attention to it anymore. But when there's volatility, usually heading into like the beginning of the week or something like that, it's usually like Mondays, where there's been dramatic moves in Bitcoin's price over the weekend. A lot of the times, like if it goes up a lot, what would happen traditionally, and especially last cycle, is we would see it gap down and close the gap in the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, just based on volatility and probably some other mechanics. And then we would start going up again, and that would usually happen on like Mondays. Well, we just closed the gap, and it looks like we're at 107,559 as of looking at the price of Bitcoin. So we can go down. I mean, we get support at like 103, 104. We get the 50-day moving average coming into a little bit lower than that. We've got support starting again at 98, down to 97, and then we've got the fib. So we've got like a lot of power, and then we've got the descending channel too. Like if you look in the bottom right corner, it's kind of hard to see. We've got kind of a megaphone pattern. It could also be like a descending broadening wedge. But either way, I think it's still bullish. There's nothing telling me that we're not bullish right now, especially fundamentally. I already looked at it and posted about it, but we have 0 of 30 indicators triggering yet again. We have gold simply plummeting, and let me run through some of the rest of these. Today we have Mara sponsoring a government summit 2025. And this is at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. It's probably going to have a bunch of bigwigs there and people in the government too. This could be a good thing, or it might just suck for them because if the market does go down, it's not going to be the best PR day and they're going to kind of miss that window. It sucks when you have news-related events that happen when the market's down, but it's like really good for your company. You don't always get rewarded for it. Sometimes people remember if it's soon enough, but a lot of times they just forget. So let's hope that today's a good day. It's a bounce day. A lot of things are telling me it's a bounce day. We'll look at that. But Bitcoin news, Bitcoin whales are on a sustained accumulation spree. So again, you can see you could see like over here, especially in this bear market, this is kind of when it started to happen. Bitcoin balances on exchanges. This is 100 to 1,000. They kept growing all the way up until like 2017. That's the moment where the balance on exchange just really fell off a cliff because there were so many new retail people involved. And so we just had this degradation. You could see how the price was going down, and as the price was going down, the number of Bitcoin on exchanges was going down too, and it did that over here. Then we skyrocketed up for the next cycle. Then we had Bitcoin on exchanges go up a little bit. Once we hit that second cycle peak, again, balances started to decline. This is just another way to look at, okay, the cycle's over. How do we confirm that? We confirm that because the Bitcoin balances were not going up on exchanges, right? At least this is one of many ways to confirm this. And then we had the next Bitcoin cycle, which was great. But again, and it went up. You could see the second peak. We still had Bitcoin getting on exchanges. But then once that cycle peak was over and we started going down, it was Bitcoin balance on exchanges going down. Do we look like Bitcoin balance on exchanges are going down right now? Does that remotely in any fucking way look like it's going down or look like we've had some parabolic top? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Let's see some comments. Icy Bears all over X. We're going so much higher. I know, dude. And again, like sometimes the technicals right now, it depends on what you look at. If you look at like Ichimoku clouds, I feel like I'm butchering that again. I never pay attention to them. But there are some good people that do, like Great Madsby and others that do a really great job. And Cantonese Cat. I mean, he's great too. But the Ichimoku cloud, these guys look at it, and Great Madsby saying, hey, this looks like a good technical pattern still. It looks like we still have room to go up. And I have to agree with that. I also, just jumping real quickly here, this is something I want to reiterate to you guys, is that TLT, my hedge play, and I posted about this earlier, gold and silver look like shit right now. And we called the top on that, I think, perfectly. Tell me this doesn't look like a fucking tweezer top. Tell me this doesn't look like a tweezer top. Look at this. Anybody know what a tweezer fucking top looks like? You've got wicks almost perfectly aligned up here. This is on the weekly time frame, almost perfectly aligned. You've got candle bodies almost perfectly aligned. And then you have a massive wick or a massive drop. The only thing that could make this technically more shitty bearish than what it is if we have a bearish engulfing candle where we actually end the week with gold under like 3,996 or 95. If we did that and it was down under here, that would look bearish as fuck on the price of gold. And why am I bringing this up? Because this briefly went over $30 trillion in its asset class. And then when you look at others like silver, we're looking at least another trillion or so with some of these other metals. And silver got its ass handed to it too. So this one's only down about 9%. Silver, the next gold, yeah, okay. The next gold is down almost 13%. And this candle looks even worse. This looks about as parabolic top blow off as you can. You had the highest levels of volume really going all the way back until early 2022 to arguably, March of 2022. So you got a pretty major move. And at this time, this didn't really mark like the bottom. This just had a blow off top and then it went down. And then eventually we just kept rocketing up until we had our blow off top with the next volume. But you can see over here when you have just crazy volumes, and these are much bigger over here in 2020, 2021. You should understand the reason why when we shut down the government, and started just printing tons of fucking money. Everybody jumped into gold, right? And silver. Everybody jumped into gold and silver. So silver went from 1380 all the way up to 30. So it more than doubled in what is a very short time for metals. But I'm still arguing these look horrible. And they're going down even further than they have. And that should be a very clear indication that what we saw last week, the great divergence where the gold and Bitcoin flip is very, very real. And it did happen. And we can still look at the Bitcoin gold ratio that I talked about yesterday that people were praising me for earlier in the day and then shitting on me later in the day. And again, previous cycle top for Bitcoin versus gold up here. Previous cycle top, up here, up here, up here. And now people are like, oh, it's over. Well, if you believe that, if you believe that gold is replacing Bitcoin, then you just either A, you're super fucking old, you're just really fucking old, and that's all you've known. You're Indian, you're from somewhere else in Southeast Asia, or you're just like borderline retarded and you think a 0.25% interest rate in a savings account is a good thing. And you penny pinch and use coupons at McDonald's so that you can build your wealth. You could be that guy, but I mean, I can tell you, God bless my mother, I love her, but she coupon shops all the time and it hasn't really done much to help. Don't tell her that. God, she would murder me. But we're not done. Bitcoin is going higher, and we've had a nice bounce, okay? All we need to do is get back up above this other line over here. And actually, it's not even here, because if you really look at it, let's go to the weekly real quick. This is good. This is better. I need to fix this anyway. Because if you really look at this, this was wrong anyway, right? Because what's actually happening is true. Where is true support? So let's find true support. We'll line it up about as good as we can. So that's true support. So if you think about it, what's actually happened is we've fallen into this channel and are bouncing out of it, and we found support. We found support on this time frame going back to November of 2023. We found support going back even further to almost the end of 2022, all the way up until now. So if anything, this is fucking beautiful, okay? Or your Peter Schiff, yes. But I mean, he's old, right? We're going to say Peter's old. We're going to say he's old. He's older than me. And that's what counts, guys. The only thing that makes somebody old is if they're older than you. You could technically be 90. If the other guy's 90 in one day, you can make fun of him for being older than you. That's what I do. It's my common practice. All right. So we haven't given up on Bitcoin yet. I think that's what we figured out. But if Bitcoin has problems in the future, what are we buying next, guys? Trick question. It's not a trick question. We're buying TLT. And why are we doing that? Because I'm already up 20% on my fucking position, and it's only went a couple percent. And if we look at this trend line, this one goes back to 2022. This one goes back around that same time frame. This one goes back to 2020. And we're getting ready to break out of all of these. We've got this resistance level, guys, right over here. If you look, right around the 94 level. If we get above 94, we're above all the peak volume going back to the beginning of fucking time, okay? And we've got a trough that brings us all the way up here to what essentially is the measured move off of an Adam and Eve pattern. And Adam and Eve is great because it has a high success rate. It's a 72% success rate. And the measured move really gets us somewhere between like 110 and 115, depending on how you look at it. But I love this pattern. With all of this stuff coinciding, it's like the stars are aligning. You know what I mean? We've got a breakout, then we've got the peak volumes. But once we get above the peak volumes, if we establish any support above 94, then we're immediately at this next barrier. And then if we break that and then break the next one, then it's just, okay, find the trough. And the trough is at 110. And so this is just like such an easy move, in my opinion. And we're going to look at something real quick. We're going to look at the ones I've loaded up into. There are other ones I'm interested in because we're looking for hedges, guys. We think we're getting near the top of the cycle. We could be wrong on that, but we think we are. And so $100 is really reasonable right now. It's not a high target. 110 is getting a little like a more aggressive and will give you a higher multiple. But again, it just lessens your chance of being right. We got tons of time, though. There is 15 months on this, okay? Almost 15 months. But we're just going to look at some of these contracts here. What do I have for these contracts? I have 1,190. And I got them. Where did I get them? At 277. So they were a better deal when I bought them, right? They were a better deal. We're going to plug in 135 on this, and I can show you why. No, I am, but I don't count. So that when I say that I'm going to talk less about TLT, it's only in one regard, and maybe I didn't clarify this well enough in my post, but it's under subscribers on X. So if you're not a subscriber, you're not even seeing this shit, and it's on this YouTube video. Why? Why would I talk about it on here and under subscribers? Because you're not the masses. You're the people that show up. All the people that are live right now, 800 plus viewers, you guys rock for being here and putting in time to try and learn more so that you can enrich your life and hopefully the people around you, right? If your mind's in the right place. So you're putting in the work. So I want you to hear my thoughts. The YouTube video is where the best stuff is, guys. I'm trying to make less of them because I don't want to be redundant and regurgitating the same thing every day. And I don't want to be the news guy. I love Amit, but I don't want to be that guy. That's not me. I can't be the master debater and I can't be the fucking news guy, okay? But I do want to give as much alpha as I can to the people who put the work in. And honestly, guys, the fees, it's $11 to have my fucking Discord, X, and YouTube for comments, right? It's $11 for all of it. And you don't have to do fucking any of it. But if you just watch the videos, you can get it all for free if you just keep your mouth shut and don't respond in comments, right? Because you won't be able to. It's fucking free. But if you can stand, 5-6 hours a week, I hopefully you learn a lot. And that's the goal. And I'm talking about this because I want to save people money. And I want them to understand what they're getting into if they do go down this route. Because again, options are complicated. It adds the element of time. Time can cause you to have permanent loss on something where before you could have just held it and waited another couple of years and then got your fucking money back if it's a good investment. So you have to realize the risks that are associated with options, but the reward can also be plentiful. Okay? So that's why we're here, and that's why we're making these comments. Now, what I want to show you is some of that reward right now. Okay? So we've got my contracts, and these are my values. You have to go in here. I make an options 101 video. You can do it yourself. I'll show you my values, and then I'll change this to 3.08, which is where we're at today, okay? But for me, if by, let's say things get crazy and we get a really good move, and we go up a whole, watch out, guys, 20 fucking % in TLT. I know it's getting crazy in here. The room just got a lot hotter because I'm talking about a whole 20% move in TLT and going up right around here to the 111 mark, right? That's pretty scary. How the fuck is that going to happen? Let's say that happens by April. April of next year. How much money can we make off of our investment? Right? That's what we're trying to do. Here's what we can make. I can make $1.235 million or a 375% gain off of a 20% move. Actually, this is the wrong one. I can make $1.4 million, a 425% gain if by April 3rd, we've went 20% up. Now, does that sound like a good fucking hedge to you? And considering how many times I've talked about what TLT is, I'll just rehash it again real quick. It is a play where you believe in American exceptionalism and you believe that we're doing right by this country. And there's something I want to show you real quick. And again, I'm already up like at 15% or something, 16%. Well, no, this is a much higher number, 11 or 12% because I've got all of it stored here since I bought these things. And that's off of like nothing in a move. I mean, yesterday TLT was ripping. It went up 0.49% and I made 7% off of these. That right there alone is a 15x, the underlying asset. So on the low end, I'm getting 15x. On the high end, I think I'm getting 20 plus. There's some stuff I want to talk about, but I want to show you one thing because I just want it leads to the comment that I just made, and I got to find it real quick right here. American exceptionalism. So let me go back. So Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said President Trump is taking control of an unwieldy government spending to get the U.S. fiscal house in order. In response, financial markets have cheered the president's accomplishments with benchmark Treasury yields making new intra-year lows. And we do see that, right? We talked about going under 4. I told you guys this was going to happen for fucking ever. And on the 10-year now, we are under 4 and we are cascading. The drop gets us into the 2s, guys. So if this happens, if we're in like if the 30, I shouldn't even say 30-year mortgage, if the 10-year really, if we're looking at rates that are like under 3%, if we're looking at that, remotely looking at that, between now and April, then what I said is going to happen. And we're going to get 110 on TLT or higher. And then we have a government, we have a Treasury Secretary that went from this bullshit, what the fuck is this bullshit, to this. And this isn't just fun accounting math, like manipulation in order to be able to make things look good. Don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of that. Everybody does it. But this is like the real fucking deal. And so we know rates are coming down. We can see that the bond market isn't rejecting the rates coming down. Right? We can see that the bond market is doing what it's supposed to do. And the 30-year, I would argue, is more dramatic in regard to this. Look at this. We're breaking through support, guys. This is a weekly fucking chart. And we are under the 50, the 100, and the 200 moving averages. And we know that we're talking about another 2 rate cuts this year, and the market has generally accepted that. And oil's fine, and the dollar is fine, and like all these things look great. Energy costs look great. We see slowing economies around the world. We see China really hurting, and we're rolling over. We're one of the only economies that's seeing their rates drop right now. I mean, outside of China, or their yields drop, I should say, just to be clear. Rates are what we set. Yields are what they end up being. But we're seeing China's going lower, but China is having that because they don't have any way for capital flight to occur. By the way, guys, Bitcoin's already at 108,000. Wouldn't it be fucking hilarious? And I literally posted this today. If we got this big wipeout down and everybody's like, the sky is falling, and then we bounce fucking right here after closing the CME gap. But yeah, so we got the 30, the 10-year, we got yields rolling over like they're supposed to. Not for what we set them to, but to what they should be. We've got a Treasury Secretary that is brilliant. He literally collapsed the fucking Bank of England like a G, okay? And you know what? Real quickly, we have Greer getting ready to talk. Let me see. 1 second, guys. I gotta check something. I'll finish the rest. I got a lot more rants, so don't worry about that.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Squawk Box right here on CNBC. I'm Becky Quick along with Joe Kernan and Andrew Ross Sorkin, and here we go. It's a Monday. Right now, it looks like we are seeing some green arrows this morning. Dow futures up.
Something's wrong. Let me go to live. It's on here, but we're just not live. There we go. I think I saw him. We'll go live, and then I'll go back a little bit.
And drive over capacity and overproduction in China. None of that works for the United States.
Greer is just like, he's brilliant. And you know how I feel about brilliant people. If you're not listening to brilliant people, what the fuck are you doing? What do I do? I guess I got to drag. I should probably just drag. Oh, okay. That's not too bad. Wow, you know what? I'm going to cancel my CNBC membership. I just don't need it. Now that you guys showed me that I had to turn off hardware acceleration to get my YouTube TV stuff to come up, you totally fixed my fucking problem. And now I don't even need a subscription to CNBC. So we're going to have to get one somewhere else, I think. Yeah, TLT looks like ARKG, only it's a hedge. Only it's a hedge because as we saw when the markets were tumbling, when gold was dropping, what fucking happened? TLT went up. And even if the world doesn't fall apart, but people make too much money and everything's at all-time highs, like Bitcoin, gold, everything's been up, right? Then people are going to naturally roll into the government bonds. If they think that we're the cleanest shirt in the dirty laundry, they're going to do that too. So really, I think you win either way. And that's why I'm going to be more than happy to, if CleanSpark bounces right where I think it is right now, and these others start to take off again and they start hitting all-time highs, I'm going to keep peeling off money and I'm going to dump more into TLT. I might do $1 million, even at like 7 million in my portfolio. Right now I'm in the 5s. I don't know exactly where, but somewhere around there. And if I do $1 million when we're at 7, you know I like this trade. Anyway, let's listen to Greer. I bought the iron dip. Yeah, and maybe that's it, man. Maybe that's literally the dip. I gave other targets too because it could go lower. Iron has really done well. CleanSpark hasn't done a fraction of what iron's done. Iron is 10x'd what CleanSpark has done over the last year, right? Literally 10x'd. So iron can drop further. The only thing I've said is just watch out for that 45, 46 range. It could still happen. We're sitting at 53.76 in pre-market. All right, let's go to Greer.
To Asia, join us now, United States.
No, I cannot go over TLT again because I literally just did it. If you just started the video, go backwards. I talk about everything TLT, okay? I mean, at least I went over it pretty good.
It's Trade Representative Ambassador Jamison Greer. It's been on, it's been off.
And that includes going over my options contracts and my thoughts on the targets and stuff like that. So I went over a lot.
On again, off again. Can you fill us in, Mr. Ambassador? Where do we stand right now with the president and his meeting with President Xi?
Well, there's a spot for it on the schedule if it happens. Obviously, it's a mutual decision as to whether President Xi and President Trump meet together. Obviously, I think it makes sense to talk, especially at a time where there are a lot of measures in place by the Chinese, but we'll see.
Is Secretary Bessett's involved at a slightly lower level too? Is that coming Friday?
So,
thanks, Kirby.
Secretary Bessett and I, we're leaving today actually to go to Malaysia, and we'll meet with the Chinese on the front end of this whole swing to try to see if there's room to move forward on some of these really difficult issues that have come up due to some new Chinese measures on rare earths.
Can you be? Is it possible for you to tell us exactly what in your view, what happened since the original framework of that deal was announced? And there's conjecture that we did something that made them mad about some export controls that we had, and that's what caused the.
I think the only thing you're missing, sorry, Benedict just put his top 4 positions going into Q4. I actually really like this play. The only thing I was thinking is you got CleanSpark, you got iron, you got BMNR, and TLT. I love iron. I don't know. It's hard to say sell iron. But it does seem like you could lighten the load on maybe CleanSpark and iron and have some Salt in there too, just to be really diversified if you like Solana. And if you don't, whatever, dude. I'm not shilling anything for anybody. I really don't give a fuck what people do. I just know what I'm doing, and I try and share that.
Shot across the bow.
I should look at IBIT calls. Let's try and do that. We'll make today a longer session. Since I'm probably not going to focus on a lot of new stuff, I'm going to go over some. But let's look at the IBIT chart. Remind me, and then we'll look at calls for it.
With the rare earth materials, which is, that was a pretty significant move on China's part. They knew.
Also, let's not forget, right after this, let's do Tom Lee. Because we got 3 videos to watch. We got a lot of stuff to watch.
Exactly what they were doing and how, I don't know what's the word for it. That was an aggressive move.
It was incredibly aggressive. It was totally disproportional to anything that the U.S., the EU, or Canada, or anybody did. Because remember, these are global measures that the Chinese have put in place to purport to control the movement or export of any item containing certain rare earths from one country to another, right? Even if China is not one of the parties in the agreement. So in Geneva, we had an agreement where they would limit their rare earth export controls, they'd keep their retaliatory tariffs down, and we would suspend a good portion of our tariffs on the reciprocal tariff. And so we've kept our part, we kept that tariff low, and we had very cordial and constructive discussions over the summer. And then again, a couple of weeks ago, the Chinese decided they were just going to go ahead and expand those controls on rare earths again, not on just us, but on the whole world. And now you hear a lot of narratives from the Chinese side of their surrogates saying, well, the Americans have put a lot of controls on us over the past few years, or they put out a new rule that would, to avoid evasion of U.S. export controls that they didn't like, or their fees on ships. So they're trying out a lot of different narratives.
Yeah, they're trying out different attack vectors to see what they can try and get away with, or what they might be able to give themselves more leverage going into the negotiation.
When the reality is they just want to exert economic control on the world.
Totally.
They started in April with the rare earth magnets. They're using anything.
They've done everything they've done, guys. It's literally like you don't have to jump into conspiracyville to think that China is trying to destroy multiple industries around the world to where they have complete power and domination. They tell you this. It's literally a part of their initiatives. So all you have to do is just pay attention. And I get that a lot of people have opinions about China, and that mine is probably not consensus a lot of the times. People glamorize China, and especially billionaires, really rich, successful. Ray Dalio, I mean, one of the most successful funds on the planet. Like, all these people have really, really positive things to say about China 99% of the time. Because they're so enamored by it. But China has its own department of propaganda. Now, the United States has kind of had that too, but it's been stealth and tried to hide, right? Because it's one side fighting the other. In China, it's just like, oh, hey, where do you work? The Department of Propaganda. Oh, okay, what are you going to tell us today? I don't know yet. My bosses haven't told me. They literally decide what people get to see, what makes it past the firewall, what is allowed to stay on social media. And what their messaging is and what they're trying to push for the day. So all you will ever hear are good things. What would people think of America if you removed all the negativity on social media? What would people think of America if everything was positive all the time that we were pumping out to the world? Their view of this country would be exponentially different than what it is right now. That is China. Yes, Tesla earnings today after the bell. That is China, though, right? So you have to have a bias of negativity towards China, and it has to be a large multiplier to what you see and hear, because they lie about everything. And every major corporation has the CCP embedded in their fucking board. And even when you buy the stocks, you don't own any part of that fucking company, because it's all just a bunch of worthless paper printed out of the Cayman Islands. You're not even buying the stock, man. So just like when you look at China, realize they're the bad guys, not the people. I mean, it's the system, right? Let's just be clear. But they're the bad guys, and they're always lying to you. And if you look at it that way, your ability to be able to add up all the multipliers to figure out what the future is going to be will be better. It's all about figuring out what are the multipliers of this subject. Is it positive or negative? How much do I, register and put this in permanent storage for being true versus all these other things? And I don't know if everybody's brain works that way, but that's how my brain works. And maybe that's why I'm good at this. Because when I look at things, I'm constantly trying, like, there's just a math happening in my head. Has anybody seen Stranger Than Fiction? It had Will Ferrell in it. Has anybody seen that movie? Anybody? Because I was borderline retarded at school, right? I think fourth grade, I got like 3 Fs, 2 D minuses, and a D plus. I was actually happy about the D plus because it let me know that I wasn't failing at everything in life. And again, I only made it through like a year and a half of high school. Lots of drugs and lots of other things, right? But Stranger Than Fiction was a great movie because it showed me that I was different than other people in one way. Will Ferrell has this scene. It's about this guy who's trying to figure out if he's in a book and if somebody's controlling his life, this writer. It's actually really good. But he has this scene where he's in the bathroom and he's an accountant and he deals with numbers all day. And he's looking at the bathroom and he sees the soap and he's like 54%, 33%, 72%, because he's seeing numbers as a projection into the world that he lives in, because that's just all he sees. And I think in some weird way, my brain works the same way, but it does that with probability. And I think it's a gift and a superpower, and it's probably why I'm good at what I do and getting better at it, I think, by the day. But anyway, off topic completely, but I just wanted to share that. My brain works differently. It tries to discern bullshit. It's like a bullshit meter that I have built into my fucking brain. And it helps if you want to be able to detect the future and what reality is really going to portray as far as probabilities in the future. That was my entire comment. That was a long way of getting there. Let's get back to Greer. Happy Wednesday.
Anything else that has happened as a pretext. The reality is We made a promise in May to keep our reciprocal tariff on them at 10%.
Peter Zehan is a fucking idiot. I hate that guy. He's a fucking moron. He said Tesla was going to zero and Bitcoin's going to zero. He has some good statistics as far as like what's going on in the geography and the demographics of all the different countries in the world. Some of the shit, though, he makes up. So you have to account for that, too. He literally just makes stuff up when you try and validate it. I fucking hate that guy. Don't listen to him. I sadly do own at least one book.
Kept that promise, and they have not kept theirs.
The president also over the weekend allayed some fears that this is, going back in time and things have happened since then. But he said, look, we're going to be fine. And I don't want to destroy China. And so we see, I don't know whether it's mixed signals or part of the negotiation, but do you feel that there is a mutually beneficial point where the two countries will eventually, where they will arrive and, everything's going to be fine? Do you believe that, Mr. Ambassador?
Let me put it this way. There notionally is a good landing zone for the United States and China, where we trade in a way that's more balanced and we're trading in non-sensitive goods, and where we have a constructive relationship, and we probably have to actively manage that trading relationship. The trading relationship over the past...
This administration is so fucking brilliant. Like, the way they communicate their messaging, the way they feel about the things that they're doing. If you guys, I don't know if anybody watched the Jared Kushner video, the 60 Minutes video with him and, I can't remember his name ever, but he's literally the most brilliant negotiator on this planet. He's the one that's going to get the Russia-Ukraine war to come to an end and make me right about that too. But like this administration is so on point. They're so good at what they do. And this isn't me. I've been on both sides of the political aisle back and forth numerous times throughout my life because I'm just getting pulled in different directions. Steve Witkoff, thank you. And so I've seen all of them, right? I've seen all of them, and I've been on the side of different groups at different periods of time. So it's just a different mentality when you're looking at the people you love or the group that you associate, the tribe that you're associated with. Your view of it is different, right? So I've looked at it through different lenses over time, in different ways. And this administration is the best administration I've ever seen. And I've read about the legend and experienced as a small child just getting interested in politics. People like Ronald Reagan, who are just like an idol to me as a kid because my parents very much loved him. And he was really great. And there's arguably some things that weren't so great too. And he went out kind of like Joe Biden, kind of a fucking mess. But there's some people that really get shit done, and there's some people that are like, it's once in a lifetime. It's like you're reading a book, and these are what the people they wrote about, and that's what we're looking at right now. And one of the things I've been working really hard, and today we're getting a lot of rants. I apologize, but I think one of the things I'm trying to convey to people is that we are in U.S. exceptionalism right now. We are seeing history being made. The sooner you get over any TDS that you have, like, I don't care if people watch me, they're liberal or conservative. I will definitely tell you my views, and I might be a dick about them. And don't cock off to me because I don't like that shit either. But at the same time, like, feel free to watch, man, and participate like a normal person. And I'll try not to shit on you guys too bad, even though I think your Democratic Party is like almost pure evil right now and a cult. But I'll try not to shit on it too bad. But there are, like, again, there are moments in time where you're watching history, and I do believe in something like an axis of truth or an arc of truth where that's the right word. Arc of truth where we head towards what is good and what is right. And I have no idea why that is, but it just seems like just the existence of humanity even throughout time, it just does that. We just always end up, somebody makes the right decision in power, and we just keep moving forward. And there's all these people that will talk about the end of the world constantly happening every fucking day. Something new is happening, and the world's going to be over, okay? And that's the thing that you're supposed to focus on. But I like to take a step back, remember how people used to communicate even when I was younger, which was there was a newspaper, and there were like 4 TV channels, right? There were like 4 TV channels. I think it was ABC, CBS, NBC, and then you had PBS. And maybe you got a couple others if you had the bunny ears in the right fucking direction. And then you could get cable if you had tons of money. I never had money, so we just got to see that if we were over at a friend's house. But life was really fucking simple. Yes, I think we're getting a clean spark bounce today. Life was really fucking simple. If you wanted to find bad stuff, you could watch the news. But if you didn't watch the news, you never had negativity in your life. You lived like it was just fucking crazy, right? There was no internet. You just played games, you talked to your neighbors, you talked to your friends, and you lived a great life. And so I think sometimes you have to ignore all the bad stuff, reduce the multiplier from it, and look at the good stuff that's right in front of your face. And realize that like we are in the best timeline. And figure that out. Because if you have TDS, get rid of it. Get rid of it and realize you're in the right timeline. Give credit where credit is due. You don't have to agree with everything else, but just realize that he's going to crush it. And if you're making financial decisions based on your TDS, you're going to lose a lot of money. And I'm okay with that because I don't want your side to win anyway.
20 years with them has very much been China has broad and wide access to the U.S. market, and the U.S. has had quite limited access to the Chinese market. Of course they like that deal. They like that setup. We can't live that way anymore.
Nope.
So we need an alternative path. The question is, do the Chinese accept this? Do the Chinese want to do it? The U.S. has always been quite open to the Chinese, and
Yes,
it's really
JT.
been driven by Chinese policies that exclude U.S. companies and drive overcapacity and overproduction in China. None of that works for the United States.
Fuck yeah,
Ambassador,
dude.
we
I
have-
love that. Is it crazy that we have Greer literally dropping the fucking mic and saying, this does not work for us. We are fixing this relationship. That messaging, one second. Sorry, I had to say goodbye to my daughter. She was going to school. But like that messaging coming out of Greer is just astonishing. It's something we wouldn't have done back in the day. But we're doing it now, and we're saying, no, we know we have power and dominion over you, and you will comply, or we'll just do what you're threatening to do. I mean, how fucking powerful is that? They're like, we've already said, Trump has said numerous times that killing trade with China is an unacceptable conclusion. It doesn't work for anybody. And what has he said he's going to do on November 1st if they don't fucking start working with us, buying our soybeans, and working with all of the things that we want them to address so that the world is fair? And this sucks for them because this makes it where they can't invade Taiwan. He said you either do this or 150+% tariffs and you are fucked. You are fucked. Trade is over. It's over. And so what he said is, we're ready to go to war with you. I don't know if people register this, but that's what's been said. We're ready to destroy your economy. And if you're going to try and, as your economy's failing, if you're going to try and invade Taiwan, go ahead. If that's the move you want to make because you're feeling pressured and you want to maintain power, go ahead. It will destroy you. It will hurt us, but it will fucking destroy you. And we're willing to do that right now. That's what Trump's been saying. And so we've made it very, very clear over the next week. I like Jordy Visser. I haven't watched all of it. It's fascinating though. I want to watch a bunch of his videos. That's one of the things I was planning on doing today, was probably getting caught up on like a couple of hours worth of videos and going back a few, because you guys recommended him and I finally watched him, and he sounds very knowledgeable and he sounds interesting. At the very least, I might not agree with everything he says. I'm not sure yet. But I do like listening to people who know what they're talking about, or at least provide an illusion that they know what they're talking about. I don't know which one he is yet. I can't make that assumption. But I'm gonna really dive deep, and so I'll have a better opinion next time. JT, woohoo Taiwan, right? Yeah, because I mean, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We're also shipping. We're behind. We need to get more weapon systems to you guys, but we've been dropping off a lot of weapon systems over the years. Even Biden was doing it. So we have. Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to invade, and I don't think they're ready. But here's and this is why I'm buying TLT, guys. I think we're going to still do short dated issuance. Maybe we'll even do a Bitcoin bond or something, a war bond, if we end up going to war. I don't think we're going to go to war. The incentive is to not go to war. And Xi, I know you guys don't. I wanted to talk about this earlier, and we'll get back. I know we haven't even gotten to Tom Lee, but we're not going to do a bunch of new shit today anyway. We're probably going to focus a lot, like we'll hit the highlights, but we're going to focus a lot on big picture shit because I think that's what people need right now. But I listen to China, and I have probably 10 to 20 hours a week, right? Like I listen to content about China because I want to understand what's going on in their economy. I want to understand what all the most brilliant macroeconomic people and geopolitical and wartime people are saying about what's happening with China and the relationship between the United States and that of other countries in the region. Whose side are they on? What exists? What's going on with AUKUS and Australia? Are they, like we just found out this last week, Trump went there. I don't know how many people watch that. You should actually watch what Trump does. It's amazingly insightful. But he met with them, and they decided, hey, we're going to do a bunch of work together. And we're gonna militarize the fuck out of Australia. And then at the same time, we met with South Korea and we said, hey, you're going to be our shipbuilders. You're going to, because South Korea is one of the biggest shipbuilders on the planet. I think they're second behind China. Let me know if I'm wrong, guys. And we have virtually no capacity for it, but they're going to invest in the United States and they're going to build out their shipbuilding capabilities while they're building ships for us. And we're going to, 108,400 on Bitcoin. It's up on the day. Cool. But we're building out relationships and in the regions. And again, it's all about understanding what's happening in China, right? That's what I'm trying to convey. Is I absorb this content all the time because I want to know, hey, wait, what happened? How many people in the military in high-ranking positions that are affiliated with factions? People don't talk about factions. In China, there are factions in political power, and these factions throughout history. I mean, there's a video game I played years ago called Romance of the Three Kingdoms. It was all about China and their wars with each other. That has not ended. They just do it under the CCP now, and then when somebody gets in power, like when Xi got into power, he just purged all of his political opponents and murdered all of them and put them to death and incarcerated their family members. All the good stuff. Maybe harvested some organs. It's pretty much normal stuff, right? It's what we do, right? It's what China does. And it was a good game, dude. Sony knows what I'm talking about. Looks like JT does too. But they're always fighting with each other and understanding the politics of what's going on in China, understanding their relationships with all the different countries around them, which are horrific, by the way. They're horrific. Even North Korea, Kim Jong-un disrespected the second in command for Xi. Basically, Xi's secretarial bitch went to fucking North Korea, and Kim Jong-un just shit on him the entire time. When you look at previous times where the Chinese government was in North Korea and the relationship that they had with them and how things were going, it was all just Kim Jong-un looked like, oh God, I love you so much. Like if you guys saw him fanboying with Trump a long time ago when Trump crossed over the line. Remember how Trump crossed the line to go shake Kim Jong-un's hand? That was a brilliant move. He literally said, you're not my enemy. You're my friend. I don't care about this line. And in that one fucking move, he totally disarmed Kim Jong-un and made him into somebody where he's like, fuck, I like this guy. He's powerful. Well, Kim Jong-un didn't think that of China's second in command when they visited like over the last week. He shunned him. He actually, I think the Vietnamese president or prime, I can't remember who was, but a high-ranking official like the head was there, and he ended up talking to him and shaking his hand and laughing and shooting the shit, and the other guy looked awkwardly standing off in the distance as China, the powerful China, and North Korea, with the person people laugh at, Kim Jong-un, was basically giving the middle finger to Xi Jinping because he didn't fucking come himself. And no leader has done that. They don't come to North Korea. These Chinese leaders don't do that. Not the president of the country, and certainly, and usually not even the second in command. But you have to know this stuff. That's what I'm trying to get at, okay? You have to know what's going on in China. It's the biggest risk that's out there right now, right? I mean, where Trump is making it sound like in a couple of days he's going to be done with Russia, Ukraine. We'll see about that. He's been saying that for the last 9 months. But again, he did end 8 other wars. So maybe this is just the 9th. And you got to, it's 1 month equals ending a war at a time. Eventually he's going to run out. I don't know of any president who in their first 9-10 months was able to end 8 wars. And he did a lot of that with tariffs, right? But we just have, you got to know all these things. You got to know what's going on in the world. If you don't want these things to disrupt your investments, then you have to understand your investments in the sectors that they're in. And then you have to know if they're overbought or oversold. And that's what we specialize in here. Love you guys. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Looked at the export of semiconductors, of the best semiconductor chips, as something we don't want to do in terms of allowing China to use them in their military-grade weapons. They may potentially look at rare earths the same way. Is that part of the dialogue, that we would extend additional semiconductor chips to them in order to get access to rare earth minerals?
So the United States and almost all developed countries have had export controls and used them for decades to control the most critical products and manufactured goods. In fact, but it's usually a small fraction. So the United States controls the highest end goods to China and other countries as well. But the vast majority of semiconductors and the related supply chain are allowed for export, or they can be licensed. What the Chinese have done is they have licensed not some super high-tech leading edge thing. What they've done is they have licensed basic inputs, rare earths. They say rare. It's not that they're rare as much as they're just all processed in China. The rare earth technology is something that the United States invented and pioneered in the 60s. So this is more like a basic input. It would be as if the United States indiscriminately and broadly embargoed, fertilizer to China or something like that. I mean, this is something that they don't even compare. What the Chinese have done is broad, it's indiscriminate, while the U.S. and other countries, when they do export controls, they're very, very specific, targeted.
Right. Ambassador, I have a philosophical question just about chips and chip speeds and all of that as you think about China. I understand the national security question, but there's this flip side of the argument in which Jensen Huang of NVIDIA and others have made about sort of creating a platform and sort of trying to own that platform globally, and that unto
I'm going to play the opposite end of this. So he's talking about Jensen Huang talking about NVIDIA and the fact that their chip sales in China are completely gone. I was listening to Chinese people in the tech sector talking about this, and they're like, okay, so imagine this. Imagine that you live in a country where the best graphics cards and the best compute power are suddenly shut off overnight as like a political move by the Chinese government. You have stuff in your local areas and in your country, but it's shit by comparison. It runs way hotter because it's not as efficient and not the same nanometer. And at the same time, it costs a shit ton more. It sucks in China right now. If you were like, and again, you have a lot, you can build a lot of this shitty compute. And there's some things that you'll be able to do. You'll be able to piggyback off of other AIs and get impressive results. But you can only do so much with that, and you're still falling behind. They're trying to build out their chip sector, but they just can't. They don't have the technology to do it. ASML is sick. I got a video about that. I should probably pull it up today. Just how crazy their technology is. But they can't, this sucks for them. This sucks for them. Not having NVIDIA sucks for them. Anybody who believes any differently doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
itself could create more national security. And I'm curious where you land between those two ideas.
Sure. Well, first of all, keep in mind that any company, even a good American company, super competitive, important company like Nvidia or others, they all have their own economic interests they're doing too, right? And our laws and regulations, they don't always impose on these companies to take into account the national security. So our job as policymakers is to ensure that national security is recognized. I mean, what these companies are saying, that we want to be competitive 100%. We would love for the world to really be using U.S. products. However, we don't want them to be using them to become more competitive and get a technological edge over the United States. I mean, that's our great, our hard power comes from having the technological edge. And if we see.
And so I want to say something real quick. Remember that meter, the bullshit meter? Not just the bullshit meter, but the should I focus a lot of energy on whether this is right or wrong meter? What he said about the interests of the rich people in the United States that are in the technology sector and their bias towards, again, they've only seen the shiny, happy sides of China. That's all the stuff they get conveyed. When they go to China and they're closing business deal, they are wined, they are dined, they are shown the most beautiful parts of the city and everything that is great about it. Literally, the propaganda departments are in these fucking companies. They always get the best of the best. Okay, remember, these guys aren't audited. All these companies that are in the United States that people are trading, like Baba and these others, there's no auditing. Our traditional auditing standards, that stuff doesn't happen. They can just make shit up. That's why Luckin Coffee was a thing that was traded and went huge and got tons of investment dollars from the U.S. so that they could build out their coffee business. And China, which is fucking hilarious. So all these people giving all this money to communism every day, they're doing it without proper auditing records or any of this stuff. It's just insane that, but again, the vested interest of these rich business people, they mentally think highly of China because they've made a lot of money off of it and they only see the good stuff and they've got propaganda departments that are whining and dining them when they're there. And it's in their financial interest to have this market. So remember their bias and adjust your meter to understand that maybe I should turn this down when a billionaire who wants to have his chips everywhere is talking about this stuff, unless there's something really of substance that they have to say that really makes a ton of sense. And I will argue that it's in the best interest of America to not let China have these chips. They don't have the ability to be able to reproduce them. People that tell you that are reposting propaganda and don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Cede that to other countries, that becomes problematic.
Yeah, we can do all this.
I think that's why we have, we have processes in the U.S. government.
Right after this, we'll listen to Tom Lee, and I'll try not to interrupt so much. And then I'll throw in some of my thoughts, and then we'll start probably pulling up charts. Outside of this one thing I want to do for ASML, I want to show you how crazy ASML is. It's amazing.
Interagency processes to examine these new technologies as they develop to determine what should be sold, what should be licensed, what shouldn't be. Is there foreign availability? Like, we don't want to control something that a country can just get from somebody else or some kind of technology that's broadly available. It doesn't make sense to control that. But that's why there has to be almost a technology-specific analysis in the U.S. government with industry input about what makes sense to control and what makes sense to sell.
When you, just shifting gears a little, when you do speak to the Chinese negotiators, Mr. Ambassador, what happens when you mention soybeans? I mean, they bought so many soybeans over the years, and now it is effectively zero. And I'm not saying that's
literally going to be one of the main negotiation matters.
The rare earth move, but
they're not going to say.
I mean, that was deliberate, nasty, and vindictive, sort of, and obviously making a point.
It's insane, Aldo.
Is it possible that that's going to be part of any deal for our farmers, that they start buying again?
Well, they're specifically trying to hurt U.S. farmers. There's no other way to look at it. There's just no other way to look at it. When you talk to them, they'll say, well, the economic conditions aren't right and you're not as competitive. Everyone knows that U.S. soybean farmers are the most competitive in the world. Their main competitor is Brazil. There are differences between the Brazilian beans and the U.S. beans. But overall, U.S. beans, high protein content. They last long in storage. These are exactly the kind of beans that China usually buys because they're good, right? We talk to the Chinese about this frequently, about this. There's also sorghum. Sorghum is an important crop that they typically buy, and they're using to hurt, now they've stopped those sales to hurt U.S. farmers. They've been pretty clear about it. Obviously, the president will raise this. We all raise this with them. they have a bunch of obligations from the phase one agreement in the first term to buy a lot of agricultural goods and manufactured goods. Our sense is they didn't comply with that agreement. So we have unfinished business with the Chinese. We have new business. But listen, President Trump and President Xi have a great relationship. There is a potential landing zone, but it has to be a fair deal, as the president has said.
Agreed.
Do you think at this
I love how tough we are on this
point that something goes for? It's all related with beef in Argentina.
I can go faster with
farmers
this
on one side think they're getting hit, and then ranchers on the other side. Oh my God! Now we're going to import Argentine beef.
This is so much better. I'm canceling my CNBC.
So I've heard there's been some controversy about that. If you look at my cell phone, you'll see a number of Republican senators and members who are calling about
We'd be
that.
done.
So the reality is, every year, we import a lot of beef. We consume about 12 million metric tons of beef a year is the number I'm told. We also import a lot of beef, and we export a lot of beef. And the president's been getting foreign market access for beef as well. With Argentina, we import some amount from them every year. The president has talked about getting beef prices down. I do not see a world where there's some huge, millions and millions of metric tons flooding into this market. I mean, that's just not part of the program.
Ambassador, can I just go back to the rare earths?
Yeah, can you
again, just because
4X?
it's part of business and military here. I realize your point that this is basic inputs that go through it, but we don't have the ability to go back and develop the mining technology. It didn't work here from 2002 on from a capitalist point of view because China was basically dumping things for how much lower price on markets that we lost our money and abilities here in this country. Even if we got
Probably
it
too
back,
fast.
though, the hard rare earths are not something that we have geological deposits for here. Obviously, you made some progress with that with Australia, with the big deal that was signed with them, but how long will it take until we don't have to rely on China for these things?
Well, I'll tell you that already the United States government has been pushing along and investing in projects to help diversify that supply.
I like you already.
I've talked before about the stake that was taken in MP Materials, the Mountain Pass mine in California. There are a number of similar projects going on right now within the U.S. government, various departments that have pots of money where they can make it.
I think the ARGT fund could go down for Argentina, which I'm hoping it does. I'm hoping it drops into the 50s. But I think our relationship with Argentina, we basically guaranteed that we're backing Malay like crazy. I just need to understand, has their vote already happened? I haven't been able to keep up with it, and it's in Spanish, and I only know it so well, and then I have to translate a bunch of shit. But I think we were doing the election last night. Does anybody know, is the vote over? Are you from Argentina? Anybody?
Economic for these things to come online. And it's important to remember, too, we have a lot of mining and related facilities that exist but have been mothballed for the past 10 or 15 years, back to the time you noted. And so that's a big area of focus right now. It's getting those back up and running, so that can be much nearer term. And then there are longer term deposits that we need to explore and develop. And then, of course, we've been working with our allies, too. You mentioned Australia. We have other critical minerals deals coming up with other countries. So I talked to my European counterparts almost.
Yeah, the Australian one, I forgot to say that. So we're giving them a bunch of military equipment, and they're one of the biggest refiners on Earth, and so we're going to work with them to get it to where they give us more of their production and less to China.
Every day about this issue.
Which should hurt China's numbers. I don't know how much they make, though. I haven't done the data on this, so I still have to look at it. But that's great. Again, getting more and more help from Australia, and if they could help do a build out, and I think that was a part of the deal too. I think a multi-year event to build out refinement in the United States. I think that was a part of the deal. If you guys know, let me know.
So we have very near-term ability to diversify our supply with respect to certain rare earths.
Yeah,
some of them will take longer, but we're moving
I can handle deer jerky, but not like anything else.
along at warp speed, as we like to say in the Trump administration.
Great. Ambassador Greer, thanks for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
That was great. Oh, and we can do that at 1.5x, guys, so we'll be more efficient with the timing on it in the future, which I love, right? I love it when we can be more efficient with time. Real quickly here, let's get back over. We need to listen to my boy Tom Lee talking about the current quarter earnings and just his thoughts. Let's do it. Come on, Tommy boy. Speed you up a little bit because you're a little slow.
Good evening, FS Insight family and community. Today is Tuesday, October 21st, and this is our Macro Minute. As I think about the week ahead, we are in week number one of the heavy week of third quarter earnings season, and there's 90 companies expected to report this week. Today, after the close, were a couple of important names, Netflix and Texas Instruments. And as you can see here,
what about Tesla, bro?
Disappointed versus street expectations, and Netflix is down 6%, and Texas Instruments is down 8%. Does that change anything in terms of our thinking? Not really. As you know, earnings tend to be these important one-day events, but it doesn't really change the longer-term view around stocks. So I'd be buying the dip. And overall, it's been a pretty good earnings season. 60 companies have reported so far, 83% beating, and this median surprise overall is 6%. So we're on track for double-digit earnings growth this season. And as we level set in terms of macro this week, the focus is going to be on September core CPI, which gets reported on Friday. Now, the reason I think this is going to have more weight than normal is because we're in the middle of a government shutdown. This is the first data point released by the government in several weeks. The street's looking for 0.3 for core CPI. one thing to keep in mind, as I pointed this out, look, for the last 12 months, the street estimate for core CPI has been 0.3. So obviously it's not been original. In the last 2 months, the numbers have been worse than expected. But it's an easier comp because a year ago, core CPI was 0.31. So I think it's somewhat.
So I think we've started to roll over because we had comps that were harder. At least last month was harder, and now we're rolling over into an easier comp, which basically means that when we compare it year over year, the data is more likely to be a lot better than it was the year earlier because it was really bad data the year earlier. So this is good. It means that we have a better chance of meeting expectations or exceeding them.
In ways, this will lead to a lower year over year. And generally speaking, the market prefers if we get a better than expected CPI read. Okay. Well, the headline number year over year is expected to be 3.1%. Now, truflation for that same equivalent number stands at 2.25%. So in some ways, as you can see, CPI is stating inflation is about 100 basis points higher than truflation shows, which I think is dovish because that means the underlying trend is lower. And if you look at headline CPI month over month, the street's looking for 0.4, and we can see on Polymarket,
ETH looks fine.
0.4 is assigned a 50% probability, and 0.3 is assigned a 39% probability. But take a look at where these probabilities were just a couple of weeks ago, and you can see that the chances of a 0.4 have fallen from 55 to 50, and the probability of a 0.3 has gone from 25% to 39%. So I think that's a dovish development. We're now to day 21 of the shutdown. The odds of a shutdown have now gone back to 81%, so I guess it doesn't look like it's going to be resolved this week. And as far as strategy goes, we stick with the same Mag 7 AI and crypto, and then industrials, financials, and small caps on the idea of a dovish Fed. So stand target, keep in mind this is the most hated V-shaped rally. Thanks.
All right, I agree. So if anything, we're looking at better comps for CPI on Friday, and it should be beneficial to markets if that ends up coming out to be true. And again, this government, guys, American exceptionalism, we're getting our house in order. Whether people like it or not, we're getting it in order. And that's a beautiful thing. Let me see here. I've been holding SoFi positions. Oh, you know what? I want to show real quickly here, guys. I want to show you that ASML video too. We might go back to some, I don't want to give away too much Tom Lee stuff. You guys should really subscribe, at least to the regular economic part. But I do want to talk about this because there's this ASML video that I want to show you. That is just awesome. I got a lot of data in here, but that's a good one too. This is Imagine. This is Grok Imagine. You can upscale videos now too, guys. Just look at this, dude. Tell me Elon isn't in the lead on everything. And he is, because we can literally look at the data points and see that. Also, I'm just going to talk about this before I get to this other thing. We literally, TSMC produced their first Blackwell chip wafer in the United States. That is a big deal. People do not seem to be understanding how great that is. It's a big deal. Let me see if I can find this video. Ah, it's right here. Oh, it's right here. Okay, this is great. You guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this. This is a treat. This gives you, so when you hear a headline, guys, again, we got our bullshit meter on. When you hear a headline that says, you know what's amazing? China, they produced a new chip that's going to be better than a Blackwell in the future, guys. We should dump NVIDIA's stock 10%. Because, wow, you'll know it's bullshit, and this is why.
Why can't the US or China make the machines that make chips? Like, the two countries fighting over AI both can't make the machines that make AI chips. And I'll keep it non-technical, but it's literally because it is insanely hard for 4 reasons. Let's get into it. First, you need a very specific type of light that's higher energy than all the light we see, because it's good at printing on silicon. But this light is a diva and causes a ton of problems. Just to make it, you have to snipe molten droplets of tin with a laser, hitting them dead center to make the light. And the droplets are smaller than the width of a human hair. And you have to do this 50 to 100,000 times per second with no room for error. And this is the easiest part. Now that you have the light, you have to put it on the right spot on the chip to draw all the patterns. Normally,
I'm sorry. And this is the easiest part is my favorite part of this video.
you could use a lens. If you've ever burnt paper with a magnifying glass, that's exactly what you're doing with the light from the sun. But this light is a diva, and no material exists that can act as a lens for it. Since you can't use a magnifying glass, you have to use a bunch of mirrors. But these mirrors have to be smoother than the width of an atom. If the mirror was the size of the entire planet, the tallest mountain would be the height of a credit card in thickness. And there's only one company in the world that can make these mirrors. But since you lose a little bit of light from the mirror each time, by the time it hits the silicon, you've lost over 99% of it. So the droplet sniping thing has to be 50 times hotter than the surface of the sun. And it gets better. Third, while the mirror sniping stuff is going on, you have to move the chip so it prints onto the right spot at up to a meter per second while keeping nanometer level accuracy, which doesn't sound crazy, but if the chip was the size of a plane, it would be like moving the plane with precision less than 50 times smaller than the width of the smallest human cell, which is a blood cell apparently, all while moving the plane at 300 miles per hour. To emphasize this, because my brain could not understand how ridiculous this is like landing a plane at 2 times normal speed and having the exact spot where the wheels touch down be precise to within 50 times smaller than a human blood cell. And this has to be synchronized, but it gets even better. Remember how the light is a diva? Yeah, it gets destroyed by dust. So you have to remove all the air, which puts it under pressure. Like the science demo where you put yourself in a vacuum sealed bag so you can't move. So this is under pressure equal to the weight of 170 cars on top of everything else that's going on. So that's why the US and China can't do this. And next time you use ChatGPT, just know the literal hardware it's running on was made by technology that makes landing on the moon look like rubbing 2 sticks together. It is insane that nobody talks about this. Anyways, cheers.
So I thought that would be a video that you guys might enjoy because all of that is true. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that how complicated this is. And so, again, these countries that do this, they're all Western European countries, at least for the most part, or allies of the West. And so we have all the technology, and we're trying to pull all these guys into our orbit and get them to build in the United States to avoid. That's why we have tariffs, right? Is to get people to build here. It's the entire platform of what Trump is trying to do. And these tariffs are allowing us to keep this out of the hands of China. How is China going to win? How are they going to rebuild this stuff? How? Tell me how. I would love to know. Polly said, yeah, I don't speak Spanish. Not often. Is somebody else speaking Spanish in here? Oh, Victor is. Okay. All right, cool. What were you guys talking about? Victor, Penila, Argentina. Okay. Not going to try and speak Spanish in here. I'll let you guys do your thing. Life is Beautiful. Chip making is an example of it. Yes, it very much is. And so, again, the thing I want to reiterate is that this is not easily accomplished. And China cannot do this. They cannot do this. Just realize that. On a bright note, today, we've got Russia's Ministry of Finance and Central Bank announced on October 22nd, today, that they've agreed to legalize cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin for foreign trade settlements to bypass sanctions, per Interfax and other sources. They talk about a lot of stuff. I don't know if this is of substance as far as difference or not. Also, gold and silver, again, tweezer tops, guys. That's what we're looking at here. Tweezer top. It's ugly. Silver looks just like it too, even worse. How are these guys doing right now? Let me see. Gold. Gold is down 1.63, testing 4,050 right now. Silver is at 48.31. So I think they're finding their bottom for now. Love Amit too, but your streams are much more informative and dense relative information. Thank you. Yeah, I try to be. Again, 0 out of 30 indicators. These are some of the best. I've got maybe 5 other ones that I pay attention to on top of this, but I mean, none of them have triggered. And this is another one of them, just the Bitcoin to gold ratio. And I think that actually might be up here, but I'm not sure. There's a lot. But again, previous cycle in 2013 coming to an end, Bitcoin had just dwarfed gold. Then in 2017, Bitcoin dwarfs gold. Then in 2021, Bitcoin dwarfs gold. This cycle, nothing. I don't think we've started. And somebody asked a second ago about Raoul Pal and about an extension on the 4-year cycle. I think his extension also lines up with what Michael Howell is talking about. People asked on here, like, oh, are you concerned about Michael Howell saying that, he thinks the cycle's coming to an end? Well, Michael Howell is the king of global liquidity, so that is concerning. But if you listen to him, he says at the end of Q2, for a while there, he was at the end of Q3, then it was Q4, then it was Q1 of next year, then it was Q2 now. So he's been pushing out his time frame for when he believes global liquidity is going to collapse. And that push out in his time frame and his data and like the 90 different metrics that they keep track of for global liquidity around the world, that lines up a lot with Raoul Powell and what he's talking about for the extension. Do I believe that can happen? Yes. Am I going to be de-risked in the next couple of months, removing leverage and trying to capitalize on extreme bullishness and a coin market cap that's in extreme greed territory? Will I be selling all of my leveraged tools, not perpetual contracts? Because again, those are trash, and we don't do that. That's how people got wiped out. What was it, 8 days ago, in the crypto market. But we do calculated options contracts. We do 2x funds every once in a while. Like with SOLT and BMNU right now. Somebody asked if I would look at those charts. I will not look at those charts. I never look at 2x charts. I always look at the underlying asset. That's all that matters. Anytime you're going to be selling out, you're selling out based on the targets of the underlying asset. You're never doing that off of a 2x fund. You always want to find the purest signal, right? You're not going to find it on some distorted 2x fund that's trying to manufacture a 2x return with derivatives on a daily basis. You're just not going to get anything good out of that, okay? So, oh, wait a sec. Fox Business, real quickly here, guys. Fox Business has Trump, and they're talking about Russia. I just want to see what they're saying real quick. This has Trump talking for a second, and then it talks about what's going on with Russia, and that all sounds interesting to me. Let me see. Oh, this is Fox Business. Let me go up. Sorry, I'm trying to get used to this interface. You guys got to give me a sec. Damn it. Let me go here. I'm trying to get to like where we are now. Let me just refresh maybe. How long do you plan on holding SOLT? What is this? It's like singing. Oh, this sucks. I have the positioning is a little off. I got to figure out where this thing is. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so I think I can figure that out. Back. No, okay, it's not as interesting as I thought. It's really short. So I don't care about that. But yeah, it looks like not too much is going on. We got about 18 minutes until the bell rings. How long do you plan on holding SOLT, Jesse? 2 to 3 months? Probably less. No, it's probably like I'd say I do believe there's a little bit of an extension happening. It's probably anywhere from like 3 to 8 weeks would be my intent. And then I'll be like, again, and I'm looking at doing this into strength. So I give you guys the targets, right? Let's look at Solana right now. How well is it doing? We'll start going into charts. So Solana still looks good. It's still got our cock and ball, very wide shaft, measured move brings us to the .618 golden ratio, right? The one we love. We love golden ratios. There's a bunch of books about it. And it comes up with everything in life. It comes up in artwork. It comes up in the biggest things in the universe and the absolute smallest that we know of. It's everywhere, and it's like a scientific anomaly that we don't fully understand, but it's there. But $600, 600 up is our target, and we're going to take profits. We're going to start probably taking profits on SOLT around 310. We're going to take a decent chunk here too at 450, and then we'll be completely sold out by the time we hit 640. And I'm telling you that could happen within 8 weeks, 2 months. We could be up 234% on Solana. And I know that sounds insane, but I think that's what's happening. And I think that's, I don't know. I don't think that's a crazy number. I think that's probably really close to target, maybe a little modest. And you guys were talking about how Ethereum is getting scary. I would say no. Just like Bitcoin, it's barely begun to break out. All it's been doing is back testing. It's back testing pretty well. If I'm looking at this, again, it hit support. It found support a lot on the fib. When it got pressed hard, it went back and found support going all the way back to 2022, 2021, when the Fed raised rates at the most aggressive rate in history, killing the market, not just crypto. And it found support. It didn't find support and wicked down because it was a pretty rough day. This was on Monday. And it went down, or I'm sorry, on Friday. It went down really hard this last Friday, and then again it tried to, but it went all the way up, really close to the fib, just underneath of it, and above this previous resistance trend line. And then now this last week, or this last day, or week, it is finding support this week on this one, and then also again. So every time it's still finding support. It did it twice here, 2 weeks in a row. And now we're looking at a third week of staying above that trend line. That is a bullish thing to me. especially since we broke out above this in August 4th of this year, and we've been able to maintain all these levels of support. We're trying really hard to do that. Now, my buddy Income Shark says that the OBV broke, and that because of that, we can see weakness in Ethereum. Maybe out of the three, maybe Ethereum has more weakness over the short term. I still think that it has the opportunity to be strong, and we'll see if it ends up happening. But eventually, I'm still saying that I think we can get to 10,000. I think bare minimum 6,300. So when we get to 6,300, maybe I'm out of 50% of my BMU, and then I unload the other 50% by the time we get up to 10K. That's this is what I'm thinking of for these time frames, guys. It's more about the target, and it's less about the time that it happens, but I believe it could happen anytime in the next 8 weeks. And maybe I end up extending that because the entire geopolitical and macro environment looks beautiful, and the fundamentals and all the technicals and the 30 plus indicators all tell us that everything's still good and that we're not overextended, right? Which runs first, BTC or miners? Is it BTC? Is it BTC treasuries, or is it Bitcoin miners? Or is it altcoins? Is it a specific one of the top 10 altcoins? There's a lot of things that can happen. I'm not sure which one of them is. We'll see. I own them all. So do I really care? Not so much. Again, we closed the CME gap. We got Tom Lee saying this is a step towards facilitating moving Wall Street onto blockchain. And it says big news out of the Federal Reserve payment systems. I'm old enough to remember FedNow. Conference, Governor Chris Waller announced the central bank is proposing a new type of limited access master account, or what he calls a skinny master account, for all legally eligible institutions to receive direct access to Fed payment rails so they don't have to rely on partner banks. This is great. We're eliminating middlemen. I think this will end up just replacing FedNow. I could be wrong, but I remember everybody saying FedNow was going to destroy all these payment companies because people could just use FedNow, and that isn't what happened. But with this setup, they wouldn't access all the services or full master account, like the ability to borrow from the Fed. Okay, so maybe they are slightly different, because I think you do get that with the Fed now. Importantly, every legally eligible entity could get one, and the legal rules for eligibility wouldn't change. So that's great. So they're kind of opening it up, not giving full access, but probably trying to do a pilot program where they're using blockchain and they're giving direct access. That's cool. This is going to create greater efficiencies and reduce friction. I like that. Essentially, this new master account light would allow the Fed to green light innovative banks. That's cool. They've done some of that recently too, right? Including fintechs, stablecoin issuers, and other payment companies. Didn't Peter Thiel just open a bank? Chat, correct me if I'm wrong. It's a big deal for companies like Custodia Bank and Kraken FX, which have spent years trying to get a Fed master account with a Custodia. Even taking the Fed to court. It could also speed up access for companies like Ripple and Anchorage, which applied this year. So this is cool, right? This is cool. I don't think we can say anything bad about this, right? SLNH, cheaper at 30 million per gigawatt versus IREN at 5, renewable AI mine. There's always another thing, right? A next hot thing. That maybe that's true. I'm probably I think I'm well positioned for where I'm at right now. I'm just going to ride the things I have. I might look at IBIT calls, though. That's interesting because it's such a clean play. It's just basically straight up Bitcoin, right? You don't have to worry. It's always trying to match Bitcoin's price, so you don't have to worry about weirdness of tracking or any of that stuff. What X account can I find the full ASML video on? I will, you know what? Here, I'll reshare it in a little bit. Give me a minute here. Actually, maybe I can do it now. I will repost it to the front so you guys will have access to it. It's definitely worth passing on. It's such a cool video. All right, let me do this. I will go down here. But I think, again, it's really important for people to understand why China isn't able to do this. And these are all of our friends that have this, right? So for us, it's an asset. For them, it is not. And it's not something they can pull off. IBIT calls looking juicy. Cool. We'll have to check that out. Okay, so I reposted that, so that should be in front of you. Happy Tesla earnings day. Again, here's the great Matsby. I like him. He's a good dude. Matt says that he believes that this is still bullish and that we're still sitting in the Ichimoku cloud. I think I said that right. Arthur Hayes is talking about how Japan is looking to print more money to help people with food and energy costs. And the act of doing that actually makes greater inflation. He's right. We already talked about Besant. Again, we're kind of at that zone. If we stop and bounce here, then what we're in is an inverted, it's like a Bart pattern, right? Like an inverted Bart Simpson head. And there you go. Hong Kong approves Asia's first Solana ETF. The Hong Kong, and so this was done in Hong Kong, but this isn't necessarily available to people that are mainlanders. This helps prevent capital flight. They've tightened controls a lot, even around Hong Kong, and making how they're notifying what they're doing with their money if they're leaving the country, if they're going into stuff like this. There are pretty tight controls behind it. But they're way more open than what mainlanders have. Mainlanders have a lot, broader rules and a lot more hoops to jump through, and it's really hard for them to get access to money or try and move anything offshore. My favorite gold chart. So I like this one because, again, people don't realize this, but when you look over here, and I don't remember exactly what the ratio shows, it's 1 month, whatever. It's just straight up gold to BTC. But just look at this. Look at where they were, 1.6 million, something like that. Now down to 0.04. So gold has basically went to zero versus Bitcoin and over time, and that's just going to continue. Again, Grok Imagine is ridiculous. This is just ridiculous. Think about in the not too distant future, next year probably, playing video games that are rendered by an AI in real time that can be made up based upon some parameters you decide. Like maybe you want to play some really old fucking video game. Maybe you want to play Link, but you want it to be like Contra. And so you say, hey, this Link Breath of the Wild game, or maybe whatever version you like, I like that, but I want it to be Contra. Or the way I play Contra, I want to do that with Link. So bring that in, and then it just creates the video game, and you're playing that video game, and you can share it out with other people, and you created it, but really it was just an AI. And you can modify it at any time to anything you want it to be. In Portland, we've got people videoing these areas where basically there's these hideout shelters and safe houses for Antifa to protest. And they didn't like that. They shut the door. They came out, tried to threaten this person, let them know that they'd fuck them up. Again, paid protesters sitting in their safe houses, hiding their faces with weapons, talking about how they want to kill our country. I think we should get rid of this. What do you guys think? The USA, a country so great that even her haters refuse to leave. Gotta love that. Mom Donnie hates this country, and he wants to run the greatest city on earth. I talked about this before. I don't need to go over all of it, but essentially, I've been right a lot this year. I think I'm going to continue to be right. And some of the things that I think are going to happen in the not too distant future are Tesla going between 600 and 900 by the beginning of, or by the end of Q1 of next year. The S&P hitting 7,500 for its top, at least 7,300, but probably 7,500. The Russia-Ukraine war coming to an end before its next anniversary. I think that's in March or February. No, I think it's March. And I think we're going to get the dollar going down. Oil is going to continue to drop unless we go to war. War changes some of these things, but I don't think that's happening. It's a way low probability. We're going to see 2 more rate cuts this year, and we're going to see more next year. And in the spring, I need to clarify this because people just keep getting this wrong. They don't understand what I'm saying or something. I understand that if rates are coming down, people think that the prices of the homes are going to go up because there are going to be more people that can buy them, and that it's not going to bring in that many. And what I'm actually seeing right now are home prices going down. And what I think will happen, and this is what I keep trying to reiterate, is that rates are coming down. People feel like they're going to be able to move, and in the future, they'll be able to get a lower rate if they buy a house that's like an upgrade, or if they move somewhere else in the country. And so they're going to finally feel like they can open up 80 to 85% of the housing market that in normal sales per year is existing home sales. But that has been basically frozen because nobody's selling a house at anywhere from like 2.75. I don't know, maybe somebody's gotten lower than that, up to like the 4.5 range. You're not going to sell, or even the 5s. You're not going to sell your house. And so that's like everybody that's done anything for like over a decade or two, right? They've got much better rates, most likely, if their credit was good. And so why would they sell their house unless they know that rates are coming down in the future? They're starting to see that rates are coming down in the future. And I believe in spring, I'm already seeing inventories building up right now, anecdotally where I live, and then in other areas that I spot check around the United States. There are housing markets that have overbuilt. There's always stuff going on where your region could not be representative of what's going on in the overall broader nation, right? But I think housing prices will continue to drop because you're going to see a massive explosion of inventory of people that are trying to get max bid on their house. They're being told that rates are coming down in the future, that more houses are going to be coming online, and that if they want to sell their house, they're going to have to reduce the price. That's what they're going to be told in the spring as more and more inventory opens up. And so what I think is going to happen is in Q1 of this next year, we will have a period where despite all the money printing and despite people pushing it into a store of value, just think of it as the real estate to Bitcoin ratio or the real estate to stock ratio or the real estate to gold ratio. Real estate will get weaker because you'll have a massive introduction of new supply, because it makes sense for people that haven't been able to do anything for almost 3.5 years to be able to take an opportunity to do something. Actually, a little over 3, something like that. So I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, maybe closer to 4 now. I think it's 4 years, actually. I don't know. I'd have to think about the math. But it makes sense for them to do that now. And so I'm just saying that I think it's going to go down in price while we're seeing rates going down. And then you'll get a rush of buyers that will come in and eventually they'll gobble that up. But real estate doesn't happen in like a week. You don't see the trend change in a week. It doesn't go down really hard and then back up. It's not a shit coin. It's not gold. It's not gold. And so it's not going to move, 6% in 24 hours or 36 hours. It's not going to do that. But you will see that trend play out over months and quarters. You'll see that. So maybe Q2, housing prices are starting to come back up again. Because again, the money supply is still increasing. And now the demand has increased it so much because people are like, dude, did you see you can get that house for a better price now? And rates are coming down. We can finally buy. And so people that want to sell have an incentive to sell, and people that want to buy have an incentive to buy, and you just open up this market and ignite it for the first time in over 3 years. Bare minimum, right? I'm excited about that. I think you should be excited about that. Guys, if you're a conservative and you're worried about the future of the world, just realize this. Progressives and the developed world average, think Europe, right? They have went in 1995 from this like 2.1 fertility all the way down to 1.6 for progressives around the world. In the United States, they went from about 2.7 down to 1.7 something. So brutal, right? These are brutal drops for progressives. Conservatives are still having babies. So with their fertility rates a lot higher, they went from 2.7 down to like 2.4, a little bit underneath, or outside of the United States in the developed world average from a 2.2 down to about a 2. So we're outbreeding them. Yay. And you can kind of understand why when their priorities are aborting their babies and not taking responsibility for the things that they do. You can see why they wouldn't have a lot of kids. And when they look at just casual sex and not getting in relationships and are told that they shouldn't have kids because they're going to destroy the world, they don't have kids. And so this is great. So they are dying out. If you're a really hardcore liberal and you don't believe you should have children and you don't understand the beauty in doing that, and you think that children can just be aborted and thrown away like fucking trash, and you celebrate the ability to throw away a human life like it's trash. Again, maybe there's circumstances where it should be done. I'm not even going to argue any of that, okay? If somebody's raped, should they be forced to have the baby of the rape? I mean, maybe just be for the baby's sake, and then they can just have that gone and adopt it out to somebody else. But that's probably a really weird circumstance, right? Or when the baby's probably going to die, or when the baby's going to have some major genetic defect that could be tough on their life. You can find, again, morality can differ in those ranges, but if you celebrate just killing a baby because of a convenience, I think you're a piece of shit. I think you're a piece of shit human being. But they're dying out. So all the pieces of shit aren't reproducing. Thank you. All right. And this is kind of a big deal. Again, we're getting into geopolitical truth, but I think you should see it. So we've got Ireland here. This is a city City West Asylum Center in Dublin. So this is Dublin, Ireland, and this is what things are starting to look like. And I've been saying for a while that we're going to see more violence across Europe because it's a civil war. It's so funny to me that the Civil War was made about Republicans destroying everything. Ding, ding, ding. Awesome. We'll have to look at that. Republicans destroying everything. I actually want to watch the movie Civil War again because it's very entertaining. Because it's about how a bunch of hillbillies are trying to destroy the world and how Canada comes in to help the United States, and people don't want US dollars. They want Canadian, which I love. I just think that's great. Pre-market, it doesn't look so bad. But in the end, the Civil War is not going to be in America because of conservatives. It's going to be in places across Europe and then possibly in Canada. And so I think the US dollar is probably going to be something they want, which is funny. I love that. Anyway, we ding, ding, dinged. Sorry, I don't ding, ding, ding the way other people ding, 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 but I just don't care. We haven't really went anywhere. Now let's look. SOLT is down pretty hard. It's down 8.97%. BMNU, BMNR is only down 2.2. So it's BMNU comparison is probably down 4. Palantir is actually barely up on the day. SBET and EZ, let's look at these here. Down 3%, 2.72. How are things looking on Smarter Web Company? Smarter Web is only down 4.23 in Europe, and then it's down 1% in the United States. Not really bad. SoFi is flat. ARGT is flat. ARCG is down 2%. It's still taking a breather. I think that's fine. MicroStrategy's down 3%. Really sucking. Out of the treasuries especially. Not looking good. Iron is flat. Mara is down 1%. Bitfarms is down 2.42. CleanSpark is down 1.5%. I think CleanSpark is already bouncing, guys. Let's start looking at some underlying charts. Getting crushed again? Do you think? Is this getting crushed? Down 1.6%. Your options might not look good, but we don't focus on that. We focus on the underlying asset, right? That's what I just got done telling you guys. So that's what we're going to focus on. And that underlying asset actually looks good. It looks like it bottomed on a trend line that was previously resistance going all the way back to 2018. So we're talking about a 7-year-old trend line that we are right now turning into support. So if you're getting bearish on CleanSpark right here, I can't fucking help you. You need to get help from somewhere else. Maybe a shrink. Maybe you need to touch grass. I'm just giving you a hard time, Emmett. But you know what I mean? Like, this is good. I said that we're going to find support on this trend line. And again, you could draw it even a little bit lower because the wicks on the daily probably allow you to. But whatever. The fib's right here. There's a peak in volume over here. There are 3 different forms of really strong support. And I believe Bitcoin is going to try and bottom today. I think today is probably the day that it bottoms, no matter how far it drops. You see down 9%, maybe mine. It depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at option contracts, maybe they are down 9%. It's always going to magnify the results. It magnifies to the upside and the down. Shocking, I know. But this is down 1.9% today, right now. And I think today's the day we bottom. I've got an alert set up here for the 16 range. I know nobody wants to hear 16. But there's a reason why I was selling. I sold like $1 million in CleanSpark, guys. And I did that buying things like TLT, where I have like, I think today, let me see, where's TLT at today? Let me go back over here real fast. It is flat on the day. So I'm probably up about, I don't know, I'm probably at like 420,000 in this thing right now. And so that's great. It's near a breakout zone. I think all it needs to do is go to 110 and I can make 442. But what happens if it goes higher? What happens if, let's say, by the end of the next year, it goes to $135? That's kind of my max target. I could make $3.985 million off of 329,000 at 1,200% return on my investment. So I'm feeling pretty good about like where things can go and what I could end up doing based upon where they do go. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Let's see the broader view here of how things are looking. We can look at Solana. I mean, we looked at Solana. We looked at Ethereum. Those are the underlying assets. We did that already. We could see more downside today. I'm not going to tell you that's not going to happen. It could. But I just don't think there's that much. You guys can see the Bitcoin chart in the bottom corner over here. I'll zoom in a little bit. But I think that could we go down? Sure. We could stop at 105. We could stop at right here, 105 especially. It's 105 peak volume going all the way back throughout to the end of last year. 105. But then we have the 50 moving average. And I think this is on the daily time frame. Maybe it's weekly time frame. We got the 50 moving average finally catching up here. And that's a big deal because, you know what? I'll just do this. Let me just pull this up on the main screen because we really should look at it on a bit better view. So this 50 moving average, why do I bring that up? If we hit that number at 102, and maybe we even go down further to this trend line here, I'll show you. If you look at this on the daily time frame, you can see tons of touch points on this. Maybe we even go all the way down to here. Who gives a shit? If we make it to 97, who gives a shit? If we get to the fib, 91.9, who gives a shit? Maybe we overshoot that. It doesn't really fucking matter. We probably won't, because if you look over here, we barely just wicked underneath. That would get us to this trend line, the support line, which is around 97. That's probably absolute bottom. But it could be now, or it could be, again, around the 105, 102 range, where the 50 moving average is. But look at this. This thing, we've been above the 50 moving average, guys. We've been above it since March of 2023 on the weekly. We've been above it. So we're more likely, especially with all the indicators saying that everything isn't done yet, and all the macro looking good, and everything looking good fundamentally around the United States, just lining up perfectly, right? The only real risk right now is China-U.S., and we believe China's really weak right now, and the United States has a very strong position, and both of them have an incentive not to destroy themselves. So that mutual incentive should be good for us, right? Would I buy more ARKG here? Yeah, probably. Let's see where ARKG is. Yeah, oh, totally. It's down 3%. I would buy more. I think some of the best plays you could do right now are ARKG, TLT, and again, CleanSpark, I think it's got a very strong support zone. So any wicking that we do underneath, I think, is a really great opportunity. Where we are right now in ARKG, guys, we're just creeping back underneath this volume again. That's fine. Whatever. Did we test this on the daily? I think we already... No. Technically we back tested or almost did. Shit could get crazy on this, and maybe it's down to 28. If it did that, I would buy more. It doesn't have to, though. It could stop right here. It doesn't have to. We just started building divergences on the daily time frame. We just started building a divergence since October 8th, 2 weeks ago. So this doesn't have to play out for a while. It could just keep screaming higher. This is only on the daily candle. Sold 20% TSLL. Yeah, if you were in a leveraged Tesla fund, I would not be into that going into earnings, man. Don't get me wrong. We could totally go up, and I still love Tesla's chart. This thing is a beautiful looking chart. If you're looking for a long-term hodl without leverage, I think right now is beautiful, right? Like this could be almost like a shoulder, a head, a shoulder, and then launch mode. But at the very least, we know that this cup and then this really weird long extended handle, but it met all the requirements right here for the fib line and not dropping too far. We got our W bottom. W, perfect, right? Went up to here. Double topped, kind of like a W in the other section, but then it couldn't pull it off. And it ended up kind of turning into a bullish pennant. And then that measured move brought us up to here, which also was the measured move for this cup and handle pattern. Got us up to the golden ratio, exactly where I said we were going to top. And so we could drop down further. We could even hit this 400 range. We could get that 398 gap on Tesla. And you know what that would look like to me? I'll show you. Here's what it would look like. Tell me what this looks like, chat. Tell me if you guys can get this, okay? It would look like this if we ended up dropping down, which is like a bullish wedge or a pennant. And it could expand and turn into a flag. It could totally do that. But to me, the downside risk here is very minimal. And it's just setting up for more bullishness. It's just setting up for more bullishness. EOC, 3 PRs yesterday, 1 new facility, 2 strategic partnership with Talon Energy, 3 750 megawatt supply agreement with Goldman's Energy. Those, you know what? I don't know the fundamentals of the company well enough, but just as far as narrative go, that all sounds wonderful. Right? It sounds good. Let me see if I can get, oh no, shit. I'm going to have to refresh here. 1 second. Let me get this off the screen and do my login separately. Oh, I'm not signed in. Whatever. We can pull that up next time. For now, I'm going to leave it alone. What other stocks do we want to look at? As for look at EOC, we won't look up the fundamentals today, but we'll look up the actual chart just to see how it's sitting. Is it EOC? Is that how you say it? Or EOS? Tell me, guys. All right, let me get over here. Grok, from Grok, SLNH undervalued at 51 yes, I just don't know anything about the company, so I don't know what to make of that, if that makes any sense. Is it undervalued because it should be undervalued? Is it or is it something? Oh, dude, Iron is looking so strong. It is actually up 0.2% today, showing a lot of strength. Mara is down 1.84%. I can't even get a Yossi to pull up. I don't know what's going on here. Trading views being weird. This might be the end of the stream. All right, so Tesla's flat on the day and looking good. ARKG is down. It's down almost 4%. Again, maybe it's going to back test all the way over here. I would be a buyer of more, and I wish I would have sold a little bit of it, but I really want to. ARKG, I have so much time on, so I haven't really been interested in capitalizing on any of it. I wish I would have sold some though, because I've only got 420,000 in TLT, and I would really feel a lot better if it was 600 to 700 right now. So I wish I would have taken some of that 1.5 million I had in ARKG calls. It's probably getting butchered today, and put that into TLT, because it would be so sweet to have that. But it is what it is. That's the way these things work. All you can do is reflect on what you should have done and then figure out in the future if that's something you should incorporate into your thoughts. So still, whatever. All right. Anyway, so ARKG could go further. It could go down. It's at 31 and change right now, 31.40. It could go down to 28.50 if it wanted to. It really could. And so you just have to be mentally prepared for that. Jesse, who do you use for auto insurance on your Teslas? I can't tell you because it involves my state. I haven't really shopped around, though. And I haven't shopped around because I drive every once in a while. I could probably get, if you were a good driver, you could get Tesla insurance and probably just be fucking set, right? But I am a horrible driver. So I go with the people who do not collect my data. I don't want Tesla to look at my driving and be like, fuck, we should charge this guy a lot. So I'm probably not the right person to talk to. Lemonade is interesting, being the Tesla auto insurance company. Is that actually going to happen? Is that going to happen? Because I love that idea. I tell you what, man, at least with my wife's car, I'd probably switch her over to it, and I might even switch myself over to it and just use FSD if they'll make FSD almost like zero for cost for those miles. Then it becomes something more interesting, and I get excited about it because that's kind of cool. That is cool. Metaplanet, guys, let's look. Metaplanet in the United States down 4.81%. Still kind of looks like it has a bottoming pattern, but again, no confirmation. The treasuries have just sucked. So we're not clear that we're done yet and that we bottomed. But man, if you look here, this is like a 1, 2, 3, right? We got 3 different points on the RSI where essentially it is flat, while this thing's been dropping for months, all the way over here from like a high of 580 or 564 down to 276. So basically, a 50% drop. We're already down 84% on this thing. It's getting near a bottom. I just wish I had stuff to sell today. Technically, I can sell TLT, but I don't know. Maybe I'll sell some. I might actually sell some. I'm up on it. I might take advantage today. We'll see. I might do that. I'll let you guys know. SOLT is down 8.95%. Again, it's just been getting beat up. But the opportunity here for when it does go higher, I don't draw charts like this, but I'll just do it for the fuck of it because it's a close facsimile, but just don't take it as an actual like legit target. Okay, let's assume this is the bottom, and I do think it is. So just to get no, we can't do this. We can't do this. We can't do this. We can't do it off of this because it'll be all fucked up. But essentially, what I'm telling you is, I think you can get 500 to 600% off of SOLT, because of the way the mechanics work for the 2x daily and what I believe is going to happen for the price action in the future. And it's been brutal because it's just been sideways chop, so that multiplier has been working against you. It's been working against you and eroding away your gains. Well, I mean, or I should say increasing your losses. There probably aren't a lot of gains. Lemonade's direct Tesla API integration sounds awesome. Yeah, that does sound cool, dude. That does sound cool. I'll definitely be a person to test that out. I will. Tommy Davis, still bullish on BMNR. Am I bullish on BMNR? Yes. Yes, I am. I'm bullish on it so much I own BMNU. And I might add to BMNU. I'm probably going to add to, I might sell some TLT. We'll see. It's got to stay, like the price has to be good or I'm not going to do it because I want that insurance just in case shit gets weird and war comes. Having $400,000+ in TLT would be good. Making a couple $1 million off of a bad event would be good. So I might not do anything with it today. We'll see. But if I was going to buy, it'd probably be like SOLT. It'd probably be BMNU. And then it would probably be like ARCG today. And then Clean Spark. Or maybe something else. Maybe IBIT calls. And I got to go to the bathroom where I would look that one up next. Let's do that Friday. IBIT for sure. We're going to do that. I don't want to run around and I don't want to take a bathroom break. So I love you guys. I'm probably going to sign off from here. I think it's all going to be okay. Don't let the doomers get to you. Hopefully you got a lot of good stuff out of today. We rehashed TLT again, if nothing else. We talked about why America is great. We talked about why China can't compete against us. We talked about why we're going to win a week from now. Anyway, I love you guys. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you Friday.